Have you ever felt like the more you understand the world, the less it understands you? Like your insights create distance instead of connection? If so, you're not alone. Deep thinkers, those who ask hard questions and challenge easy answers, often find themselves misunderstood. Not because they're wrong, but because they reveal truths that others aren't ready to face. This pattern stretches far beyond individual experience. History is full of people who saw too much, too clearly, and paid the price for it. Bruno was burned for suggesting the universe had no center. Kierkegaard was ridiculed for exposing the hollowness of social norms. And countless others were shunned not because they failed to fit in, but because they didn't try to. But why does this happen? Why does society so often resist the very people who are trying to understand it more deeply? The answer lies in how the human mind reacts to discomfort. Let's say someone walks into a room and they're exceptionally tall. You might notice it, maybe even admire it, but it doesn't make you question who you are. Now imagine someone walks in who challenges your entire worldview, calmly, rationally, and without malice. You don't just see them, you feel seen, and not always in a good way. This is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. When someone's ideas confront our assumptions, it triggers a kind of internal tension, a psychological unease that we instinctively try to escape. And so, rather than engaging with the discomfort, many people retreat from it. This explains why intelligence often isolates rather than elevates. Unlike beauty or charisma, intelligence isn't passive. It doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It questions, it dissects, it sees beneath the surface. And for many people, that's terrifying. You see, we don't just live in a world of ideas. We live in social ecosystems built on shared beliefs. These beliefs, even when unspoken, create cohesion. They tell us how to behave, what to value, who to trust. But deep thinkers don't always play by those rules. They ask, why do we believe this? Or, what if we're wrong? And those questions, while powerful, can also be profoundly disruptive. Most people don't resist the thinker. They resist the disruption the thinker brings. This is why thinkers are often admired from a distance, but avoided up close. When you question widely accepted ideas, even gently, you're not just presenting information. You're poking holes in the invisible fabric that holds people's lives together. And that can feel like a threat, even if it's not intended that way. Modern research supports this. Studies in social psychology show that people are more likely to trust confidence over competence, certainty over complexity. In other words, someone who speaks simple ideas with boldness is often more persuasive. Intelligence. It's a feature of human psychology. The brain is a survival machine. And for most of human history, survival didn't come from being right, it came from belonging. From being accepted by the tribe, from sharing the group's beliefs, whether they were true or not. So when a deep thinker arrives with inconvenient truths, it doesn't matter how intelligent they are. If their ideas threaten the social order, the tribe's instincts kick in. And those instincts often say, silence the thinker, not the thought. Nowhere is this clearer than in group settings. A one-on-one conversation might allow for reflection, but in a crowd, the stakes are different. People worry about how they'll be perceived, about their status, their credibility, their belonging. In those moments, defending your ego often feels more important than exploring the truth. That's why deep conversations are rare in groups, and why those who seek them are often labeled as too serious, too intense, or too negative. But in reality, they're just seeing the world on a different frequency. They're not trying to be difficult. They're trying to be honest. And honesty in a world addicted to comfort is a dangerous thing. Philosophers like Schopenhauer understood this deeply. He believed that most people are governed not by reason, but by what he called the will, a primal drive for survival, satisfaction, and stability. According to him, intelligence is not a ladder to happiness, but a spotlight that exposes how fragile our comforts truly are. While the average person seeks distraction, the deep thinker seeks meaning. While many chase status, the philosopher asks whether status even matters. While others are content to go along with the crowd, the deep thinker stands alone, often not by choice but by necessity. Because once you see through the illusions, it's hard to pretend they're real. This isn't to say that intelligence guarantees isolation, but it does mean that deep thinking carries a cost, one that not everyone is willing to pay. So what can be done? If you're someone who thinks deeply, you have a choice. You can water yourself down to fit in, or you can embrace the solitude that often comes with seeing the world clearly. That solitude is not a punishment. It's a space for reflection, for creation, for truth. You may not be understood by many, but the few who do understand you, they'll value you not just for what you think, but for why you think. In the end, intelligence is not about knowing more. It's about caring enough to ask questions that don't have easy answers. And in a world that fears the unfamiliar, those questions are acts of quiet rebellion. So, if you ever feel like your thoughts isolate you, remember you're not alone. You're just further along the path. And while that path may be narrow, it leads to something few people ever find: clarity.